Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have on Thanos, and he's here to tell us a story today.
Hi, my name is Thanos, and today's theme is about joy. So I spent all day trying to recall things that brought me joy, and I kept on landing on the same thing over and over again, and it's business. And then I thought to myself, what is it about business that makes me so happy? And it's the creation process of it. I discovered early on that I really love observing human behavior. I'm also fascinated with the world. I also love creativity and creating new things. And it just seems like business is designed perfectly to accommodate all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about one story in particular. So we're opening up a restaurant in Amherstburg. This is like 15 years ago. It could even be 20 years ago. I forget track of time. So we're opening up in a small town, and it was called 3 Euros. So we made this beautiful restaurant look like the island of Santorini. It was all white stucco on the outside, white stucco on the inside. We introduced displays, and anyways, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I wanted to make sure that when somebody came in, they felt like they were walking into a franchise, because I also owned Sofo's restaurant in Jefferson and Tecumseh. And I took that model and I wanted to expand it into a franchise model. So during that time, I knew that when you go into a small town, and back then it was more so than it is today, but back then, when an outsider comes into a small town, they're not really received well. So back to the creativity that I was talking about, I was trying to think, how can I simulate myself in a small town that is generally resistant to outsiders coming in and be able to be sustainable? So we created this program. I forget what the heck it was called. It was Working Together or something to that effect. So we went around and we took photos of the local businesses in the area. We created little cards and we went to every single local business and we said, look, we're opening up a restaurant right now, and we want the money that is spent outside Windsor to be spent in Amherstburg. We want to do whatever we can to collaborate with you. So instead of them going to Windsor to buy their flowers, they can buy them from here. Their pet food, they can buy it from here, and so on. And the businesses were wondering how much it's going to cost. We said, it's not going to cost you anything. Here's all the information. So they got the chance to see their own logos and the whole graphics part. And we said, every time somebody spends $20 in your place, you're going to staple it onto your receipt, and we're going to give them a 15% discount. Now, the beautiful thing is that it looked like anytime you give a discount for free, it feels sketchy. It feels weird. People think that you're desperate. But if you make it look like you're offering a discount as a result of something in celebration of a 1-year anniversary, in celebration of XYZ, then it looks like you're doing something really, really good. We wanted to fill the restaurant and we wanted to give a discount, but again, not looking like we were desperate. So all these businesses were super happy. So all of a sudden, everybody in Amherstburg that was shopping around locally, they were getting 50% discount, 15% discount. So everybody in town was seeing our card and our business, and they were coming in. And more importantly, it looked like we were collaborating with the local businesses. So we were received really, really well. During that time, all the local businesses that we collaborated with, it was Sobeys, it was Pet Value, and all of them. There was a big wall that had all their logos to show that this is a community-driven initiative and everybody's collaborating together. Also, I had monitors at every booth. So when our customers were sitting eating their meal, they'd see the beautiful island of Santorini with nice Greek music playing. And every so often, it would cut into a commercial. Hi, this is so-and-so from Pet Value. We've been in business for 20 years. We want to thank our community, blah, blah, blah. So even when they were in the restaurant, we were promoting these local businesses in here. So it looked like we were the hub, the centralized hub, even though we were brand new, we were nobody. Well, all of a sudden, Walmart comes in. Walmart had a hell of a time getting into Amherstburg for many years. They kept on knocking them down because they felt it was going to compromise their local businesses. Finally, they got granted the opportunity to build. So the director of Walmart operations comes in for lunch, and what does he see? All of his competitors on the little videos, and he sees them up on this big wall. So he says that he wants to participate as well. He wants to do the stapling thing and offer the discounts as well. So I ended up talking to the manager, the store manager. His name was Ryan at the time. And he says, we have a program called Store of the Community. And I go, what does that mean? He goes, well, you also have the salad dressing. So not only are we going to participate in the stapling of the receipts, but we have a program called Store of the Community. Means that I can buy products locally, whether it's bread or whatever, to support local businesses. And Walmart had introduced that like 20 years prior. And I go, does that mean that we're going to get into the Walmart stores? He goes, no. You get into this one Walmart store. And I'm like, But keep in mind, when I set up this original restaurant, it was designed, like I said, to be an actual experience. So our salad dressing was beautifully designed. His name was Dave Taylor, one of the best artists you can imagine. So you picked up this bottle, it looked like it came from a manufacturing plant. Meanwhile, we were just mixing it, pouring it in and tightening it up. So when the Walmart director of operations seen that dressing bottle, he told Ryan, his store manager, we can do that part of our Store of the Community. Now it looks like we're helping local businesses even more. So first of all, that program about the local businesses worked out fantastic. As soon as our bottle hit that shelf, this is where the creativity comes in, right? So we said, okay, how do we get into all the Walmart stores? I don't want one. What the hell is one? What are they going to sell? 5 bottles, 10 bottles a day? We're going to make a couple bucks, 20 bucks. It's peanuts. How do we leverage this and get into all the Walmarts right across the board? So I ended up sending out a press release. CBC, Windsor Star, 8 Channel, you name it. And I completely lied. Total bullshit, saying Walmart, the world's largest retailer, tried our salad dressing at this small location, loved it so much. Now they want to share it with all their customers across the country. I knew that worst case scenario, we're going to get pulled off one store, one shelf. Who gives a shit? But I also knew that Walmart was going to get squeezed now. Okay. Because if they did pull us out, people would wonder why. Why did you pull that out? It would be negative publicity for them. So I do it. I get a phone call from Ryan that, oh, mind you, everybody showed up. Windsor Star, I have it in my basement, all the newspaper articles, the video content. And they came in, they're like, how is this possible? And I go, listen, I don't know. He loved our salad dressing so much. He had to have it on the shelf. So total bullshit. Okay. So I get a phone call later that day. Everybody picked it up. And when I mean everybody picked it up, within the hour of me sending out the press release, I had people calling me. Back then, everybody watched the news, right? I figured, I'm going to lose one store. I don't care, but this gives me an opportunity to go across all of them. But the way that I handled myself with the media, the way that I painted Walmart to be this great company that's supporting us, and Walmart's all about supporting local businesses, blah, blah, blah. They loved it because the original guy, the director of operations, seen this and he says, leave him alone. I like it. I want him to follow this direction. So Ryan calls me. He's like, what the fuck did you do? And I said, sorry, Ryan, I had to. And he says, they were trying to figure out who to fire. But the director of operations, seeing the way that you handle the media, keep going. We're going to support you. So I got listed and my distribution across the country began. That's what led to the business ultimately getting into all the super centers across Canada. We got into Sobeys, we got into Metros, we got into super centers all over the US. And for 7 awesome years, the business grew as a result of this crazy move at the beginning. So again, business brings me joy because you have the flexibility of doing something unique and novel and not following a cookie cutter approach. Oftentimes in business, I think that you must follow best practices for certain things. That's inevitable, right? But there's a lot of room in between for you to be novel and creative and innovative to carve out your own way. Ultimately, the business ended up failing about 7-8 years after, even though we had thousands of supermarkets. We built out a huge factory. We went from mixing it like this into a thing to having a full production. You throw 500 bottles in, the machine formats them, fills them, labels them, trucks coming in. It was wonderful. But I ended up learning a huge lesson on that one, which is don't grow too quickly, too fast. But anyways, that's my salad dressing story that brings me so much pleasure because I was given the ability to be creative and innovative. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I know from your previous stories, you're always thinking outside of the box. And that is very outside of the box. I don't know. Where do these ideas come from?
I've always been fascinated with cause and effect early on. And you realize that if you say something, the person responds like that. You realize that if you move something, then something else. So the cause and effect has always fascinated me. And it's almost like an artist loves creating something and painting something. This is just a different form of art form for me. I dislike using best practices, even though I have to stick to many of them. But the fun is in looking at it from a different lens, a different perspective, and trying to create something new, right? Which life represents unlimited possibilities to do it in so many different areas, including art, including music, including business, and so on. So that has been a natural thing that I just love.
So what projects or new things are you creating lately?
So we ended up inventing a patent for, because I ran a fence company too for about 10 years. And I realized that fence posts always rot at the base. And then you got to pull that whole thing out, pull out the concrete, and it's a really tedious job. So I invented a patent where you can go in and in 10 minutes, you can repair the fence post using a special fixture that we concrete into the ground. Customer gets a 10-year warranty. And just saves the homeowners a bunch of money. Contractors work well. And as a result, thank God, I've taken this unique, innovative approach. Now we have contractors throughout the country. We have contractors in as far as Victoria and on the other side of Canada, all the way up to Montreal, right? And then, but it's looking at it like, just looking at it from a different lens and saying, how can I have fun with this and introduce something different and novel? Oftentimes you introduce a lot of things that are different and novel and they still fall apart. But the same thing as an artist, they can be painting something and then all of a sudden it looks like shit and you throw it away. Big deal. That's what business is all about too, right? And again, back to the self-awareness part, I realized that the more I start playing with this, same as an artist, eventually you can draw and paint a lot more intricate portraits than you did when you first started. And now I know how many more buttons exist. So if this was a dashboard, I can navigate business a hell of a lot better now than I could 20 years ago as a result of the failures and figuring out this works, that doesn't work. So again, it's just a lifelong journey of playing, I guess, if I had to summarize it.
What about, I know you said the dressing ended up failing, but were there other projects, like another interesting project you had that was maybe a bomb right from the start?
Oh yeah, it was artificial palm trees.
Okay.
It was called Palm Tree Canada. I did that when I was 19. And I was manufacturing artificial palm trees that looked real, not those shitty ones that you see on the street over here where they're made out of plastic. So I made them out of concrete, and I made special fronds that were UV resistant. And I partnered up with this douchebag that was on Dougal Avenue, and it didn't work out. And I lost like $3,000-$4,000, which is a lot of money, when you're young like that. But that was a lesson. That was a business that tanked probably within the first year. Mm-hmm. Right? And many other ones that just ended up tanking. But the whole idea is that you play, you move these around, it doesn't work, and you try something else.
When you're developing these businesses and thinking outside of the box, what does your day-to-day look like? Are you always thinking about business, or do you have to take time out and do something else that's creative and then come back?
Well, me by myself, I can't run the business by myself, because I'm always looking at opportunities. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I'm trying this to see if it breaks and so on. So if it was just me by myself, none of these ventures would have been able to take root. But I learned early on that if I align myself with different personalities that possess specific skill sets in the areas that require someone to be more consistent, to be regimented, to be more analytical, it gives me the flexibility to have fun and to be chasing different ideas. And then I surround myself with people that are real, okay, that if they think it's a terrible idea, they present why they think it's a terrible idea. And then we try to break it. And then if we decide that it's worth trying, then we try. But again, but it's so critically important that I surround myself with a team that possesses that particular skill set. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, me alone is no. But the benefit of me, I know my value and I know my weaknesses, right? I know that when I have to focus on something and get something done, it will be done with precision. But if I stay in that mind frame for too long, then my brain just starts, that's why it's important somebody else to take over. Mm-hmm. If I have to fix finances, I know how to fix finances. Mm-hmm. If I have to do any one of those tasks, but I'm designed that I can't stay within a specific task for an extended period of time because my brain gets bored and then I just fall apart.
Do you think that you have ADHD?
I don't know about that. See, but even labeling it as ADHD, I think people are just more creative, non-creative, because even putting it into a box, in my opinion, as ADHD assumes that you have a problem.
It is labeled that way.
Yeah, it's messed up. We all have different ways of navigating life, different ways of evaluating thoughts, executing on thoughts. And why the hell are we putting it into a box? Because even ADHD, if that existed, everything's based on a spectrum anyways. Mm-hmm. Highly analytical, do not possess certain creative skills that appear on a different demographic that's on the extreme opposite. Where the hell do they fall in line? But to box it as ADHD, I think it's silly for somebody even to claim that they got ADHD. They just have a unique way of looking at life and navigating through life. Mm-hmm. And certain advantages and disadvantages as a result too, right?
Yeah. I think understanding if you may or may not have it just helps you understand how your brain may work. Okay. Because if someone is, completely new to this and they just don't understand themselves, maybe knowing what that means can help. Because that's how it was for me. Okay. Just understanding that, I can't sit still for a long time. Whereas before I would try to force myself to sit still. Right. Because this is what other people do. This is what I should be doing.
And did it make you just feel better thinking that because it was compartmentalized, it allowed you to look at other life experiences from others and be able to assess it better for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are certain patterns. So a very common pattern in women with ADHD is that they end up with eating disorders.
Oh.
And I didn't know that. So I did have an eating disorder. It's a very common pipeline. And so it just kind of helped me realize that, okay, this is a thing. Maybe I'm not completely broken. It's just a thing that happened,
Right. That makes sense. But I still don't understand the whole ADHD. I know I studied it a little bit to understand it, but I don't know.
I think it's more just to say that people are different.
Yeah, we're all different. Yeah. Right. And I think the moment that we identify our strengths and our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities, that's the groundwork. But for some people, they want to feel like they're not, I don't like obviously how you use the word broken, right? How we're different. And then how do we leverage our differences that we possess to be able to do whatever the hell it is that we want to do in this world?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it should be a label that we put on ourselves to use as a crutch. And being like, I can't do that. I have ADHD. You know, definitely not.
No, but those kids that are jumping all over the place, they possess some incredible skill sets that the other people that don't possess that particular character trait can't do, right?
Were you one of those kids?
Oh, yeah. My teacher thought that I was hard of hearing. She actually, when I was in grade school, she sent somebody in class. So they did the hard, they go behind you, and every time you hear beep, you got to put your hand up. And I thought it was weird that she's calling me out of class to do this test. And afterwards I was done. She's like, I just realized that you're not hard of hearing. And I go, no, I can hear. She goes, then how come you don't pay attention in class? She thought for sure I was hard of hearing. But it's like, you're just not interested in it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's wild.
She's like, I just wasn't listening to you. That's all.
I don't know. You're a child. You know what the hell's going on. But what's cool is I think the way that we're moving with education right now, I don't know if we're getting off topic, is that now it's going to be customized. That's going to be wonderful.
Is it? I have no idea about what's happening.
Well, I mean, with AI coming out, it's inevitable that AI is going to start offering customized education to people based on where they're at, where their interests are, where their strengths are, and so on. So I think it's going to be an exciting future for us to accommodate all these unique personalities. Because think about it, the way that they designed our education system up until now was very regimented, analytical, in a box. And then the other individuals like yourself, or even like myself, we fell out of it. It didn't accommodate us.
Yeah.
Right? Although we possess some incredible skills to do great things, we didn't fit in this box, right? Although some people thrive in this box, they just want to be thrown in a corner on a computer and they just want to work. They want to be told what to do, how to do it, and they will do it, right? That's not us. It's like, oh my God, shoot me, right?
Yeah. So would you say that, because a lot of people are scared of AI, is that you?
No, I think it's incredible. I think it's going to be messy. The transition is going to be very messy. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, but it's going to force them to be more creative, be more innovative. Because at the end of the day, one thing we can all agree on is that we're all resilient creatures, okay? And during transitions, whether it was the industrial age or whatever, there's chaos, there's job unemployment, there's a transition period. But what's wonderful about the human species is that we always innovate. We're always resilient. There's going to be suffering. It's inevitable. Right. So for the next few years, I think in about a year or two from now, there's going to be some major suffering as it relates to unemployment. But then if you zoom out 5 years from now, people are going to have more free time on their hands. Up to right now, they don't know. Their job is keeping themselves preoccupied. But maybe they're going to start exploring the arts more, start really doing more yoga, start doing some more mindfulness, whatever it is, right? Arts, theater, dance.
Maybe we can have time to start building
communities. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just have more time on our hands and let AI do the crap that doesn't make any sense. We only have one shot at this. You know, you hear this over and over again. And now as I personally get older and the closer that I am to death, because I'm over 50 years old, the more you value the number of years that are left. And what the hell do we want to do? We want to cram in as much joy as we can.
Are there any other ways that you purposefully bring in joy in your life that are outside of business?
Unfortunately, no. I know that the romance part is in the back, but romance, I don't think that it requires planning. And I think that just has to happen organically because I'm naturally somebody who does plan. Like I already have a 3-year plan as it relates to business, what to do and all these moving parts and how they fit together. And sometimes I try to apply that into my romantic worldview, but then it falls apart because you can't control this shit. So another exciting part for me for the rest of my life is going to be finding the moment where I can let go and then enjoy a piece that I think is very important for all of us, the romantic piece, and have fun with that. But I haven't even molded it. And I don't even know if I should mold it. So this is the part that I personally struggle with. I don't know if that makes any sense what I said, but.
I think so. I think it sounds like you're trying to control it too much, but it's just something that can't be controlled.
It can't. It defeats it and then it just goes away. Right?
Yeah.
But that's one of the shitty things about having the personality that I have is as you grow up with so much responsibilities, I grew up with a lot of responsibilities, responsible for my family, right? Having a dad that drank a lot and then becoming an early dad at 19 years old. I got my girlfriend pregnant, so I became a dad for 30 years. I had all responsibility on my shoulders. And then having that level of responsibility, you have to make decisions all the time, important decisions. And then you realize that when you don't make decisions, things fall apart. So then it creates this a unique personality style that is important to keep things in order, but at the same time, it has some negative side effects as well, right? Including trying to control romantic elements that cannot be controlled. It defeats the whole freaking purpose of romance and that. But it's just a learning experience part. We were talking about self-awareness. I'm aware of it. Now, my aim for the next couple of years is, because now we started this business, I want to start stepping back more. I want to travel the world more. I want to go to more. I don't want to drink anymore, that shit, and just waste my time on garbage. But I want to go and meet great people, find out who my tribe is, find out, just explore this incredible world that we have access to more. And then in doing so, maybe I'll be able to discover the romantic piece that I think is going to be the final cherry on the top in life.
Unfortunately, that cliche, I think it comes when, I don't know what it is, when you're not looking.
When you're not expecting it, right? Yeah, whatever.
You recently just went on a big trip. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the wintertime, everything slows down. The restaurant is running, Sofars is running great with management, and my ex-wife is doing a great job. So the fencing business that we're operating right now, it slows down in the wintertime, so we had several months. So I took off with my son for a couple of months. We spent a month just driving through southern US, just exploring it and its people. And then we spent a month in Cuba, rented a car, and we drove through Cuba. And just, again, that's my attempt at getting into an environment that does not require control and just presents unique things that we just discover or experience along the way. And I take great pleasure in that. We ended up seeing like a revolution breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're parked, and this is a main city that we're driving through. We're heading to Havana, and we hear pop, 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 pop. I'm like, what the hell? And we hear it again, pop, 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 pop. So I get out of the car, and there was like a medium in the middle with grass, and cars are this way and cars this way, but we're all stopped. I get out of the car, and I got my camera going, and then I hear pop, 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 pop. Again, shot fires like machine guns. And in that moment, my heart's like, get the fuck back in the car. What the hell are you doing? Are you going to get killed? But then the other part of me was like, I don't know, just stay there. It's going to be okay, because we're about 7 cars back. And then I look, and then I see people with machine guns or guns, huge guns shooting at each other. And then this ended probably within like 20 seconds. And then you see them going like this, and other people running across the street, taking their guns off them. I got it on video. And then they started walking these people. We're like, my son came out of the car too. We're watching this. Everybody else is still sitting in the car wondering what the hell's, like, they're scared. Now, stupid thing that we did. However, that particular risk paid off, because I don't think we're ever going to see a revolution break out in front of us again. And it was incredible. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask you what your favorite part was. I think that might be it.
That was it. That was definitely it.
Did you have a favorite part in the United States?
In the U.S., we went to beautiful nature parks. They had some nice warm springs that we went canoeing in and stuff. It was just more nature. And I think that I had a friend that I met about a year and a half ago, Tracy, and she introduced me to nature and the appreciation of it.
What do you mean she introduced you to nature?
Well, introduced me to appreciate nature more.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed it, but I never really looked at it. So she introduced, now I can look at a tree and appreciate the intricacies in the tree, or the colors of the tree, or types of trees, or the grass, or the vegetation and the plants, and the animal sounds, and the rustling of the leaves. So she just had me look at it from a different lens. And as a result, I was able to appreciate the Florida trip that much more, because that's all we did is nature stuff and hikes, and the way that the wind sounds when it brushes past thousands of leaves on the tree and so on, right? But before that, I was blinded to that. I wasn't looking at it. But now that I look at it, I can appreciate it so much more. And that's what that trip represented. Peace and just gentle experience.
Yeah. If you were to give your younger self advice, what would you tell him? Maybe as you're meeting him as a new dad.
Oh, as a new dad, I'd give him a hug and tell him it's going to be okay. And tell him that his plan on waiting it out, because I waited out 30 years. I got separated almost 3.5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, or something like that. And when the kids were all older, and the whole experience was wonderful as raising the kids. And that's a promise that I had made myself at the beginning as well, that no matter what, you're going to work through it. And my ex-wife, we felt the same way, and we stuck it out for the 30 years. And I don't even want to use stuck it out. We were together for 30 years. We raised incredible kids. And at the beginning, I already knew that this was going to happen, and I felt a little bit discouraged, thinking, fuck, man, I gotta do this for like 20, that's a big ass commitment, because it happened by accident, right? And it was the best blessing you can imagine, having children. But during that time, I was like, damn, I went from a young teenager having fun going out with his friends to all of a sudden, you're a dad. So I quit partying, quit everything, and I became a responsible dad for the next 30 years. So if I could go back to that guy and say, listen, yeah, it's gonna be a long ride, but you're going to enjoy every second of it. And you're going to raise some incredible kids. And you're going to be so proud of yourself 30 years later that you hung in there through thick and thin. So that's what I would say to him. But I wouldn't change anything, including all my failures and stupid things. Although, don't get me wrong, I remember some things and I want to put my head in the sand thinking, what the hell was I doing? That was so obnoxious or so terrible. Mm-hmm. But that taught me what obnoxiousness is and what doing stupid things is, right? Mm-hmm. How can you have one without reference of the other, right? How can you understand happiness without the relative? And I really believe it's a 1-to-1 ratio. If we're going to experience happiness, then that degree of sadness we must have experienced in order to experience the degree of happiness which we experience. And the lack of that, we're just sitting here in bland state.
I think so too.
Right?
Yeah. We have to really know the sorrow in order to understand and appreciate all the happiness.
Yeah.
In turn, that makes you happier.
Yes. How can you understand darkness if lightness, or how can you understand light if there's absence of darkness? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. Are you happy with life?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you love about life?
Pretty well. I used to really struggle with myself and my identity, but I think I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I understand myself and I'm no longer striving to be somebody else.
Wow. Wonderful.
So now I'm content.
When you say somebody else, is it because your parents' expectations, I suspect, and that's why you're somebody else?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of everything, like parental expectations, society expectations, like people I was dating, like always trying to be somebody else for other people instead of just for myself.
Oh, and how did you resolve that?
I just kept doing it over and over and over until one day I was like, this is dumb.
That's good.
Why am I doing this?
That's wonderful. Is that just recent or?
I think it's been like maybe 4 or 5 years of me really working on it. So like the happiness and contentment is more recent, but it's always been something I've been trying to figure out. Like there's always been, I've always known something was off and never knew what it was. And then maybe like, I don't know, 5-ish years ago, I started to figure it out.
Were you looking at like a mindfulness, or was there a certain philosophy you started exploring, or?
I did everything. So like I said, I had the eating disorder. Mm-hmm. So I spent a long time, that was maybe like almost 10 years of my life.
Wow.
So I spent a long time trying to fix me and fix that. And then after that healed, then I was like, I forget what I tried to do next, but there was always like something. I think I did meditation training and like coach training and being a spiritual teacher.
Wow.
And through every like coaching or training or learning I did, it was always like trying to fix myself in some way. And then eventually I think I gained enough knowledge where I was like, oh, okay, I didn't need fixing.
Yes. That's what's the beautiful part, right?
Yeah.
Fixing. We're evolving. That's wonderful. That's learning. Really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Are you happy?
I'm thrilled. A technique that I deploy frequently is revisiting all the things that I'm thankful for. Mm-hmm. And I really mean it in my head. Like I'm not just doing, oftentimes you go, because I've heard it before, right? And that's what got me to try this exercise. So I don't do it, and I do it like meaningfully. Like I'm really thankful to be given the opportunity to even be sitting here right now, to be engaging and having this conversation, the opportunity to view that wonderful color that I never seen before on the wall, the opportunity to have these great kids, the opportunity even for the smallest things. And in doing so, and maybe it's because I'm getting older that I know that maybe I got another 10, 20, 30 years left of good life where I can move around and do things that allows me to appreciate it that much more. And I'm really, really thankful and I'm happy where I'm at as a result of this thankfulness, right? And then it ignites the excitement part of me too, thinking, what else can I do? What else can I innovate? What other good thing that can I do, to others or to myself and so on. So I'm at a great place in life. I'm really, really thankful. Super, super thankful.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yes. The gratitude is an important aspect. Yeah.
If you don't have gratitude, everything falls apart. But true gratitude, to really believe and understand with absolute conviction or whatever, that you are lucky. Think about it, man. We only have so many years over here, right? To do anything we want. You can go and kill somebody around the corner right now if you wanted to. You can do anything in this world. But oftentimes we think that there's a box and we must stay within that. It's almost like that bug where you draw like with a permanent marker around it and it just stays in that little fictitious box, right? It's silliness. We draw our own boxes. Obviously within reason, but
yeah,
right?
I'm not telling anyone to kill anyone.
No.
But maybe question some of the boundaries that are given to us.
Yes, that's amazing, right? And we don't even realize it. I think an analogy was ants would go through, they would have an obstacle and they'd walk around it. and then you remove the obstacle, and they still do that silly loop over something that's not even there. And oftentimes we do that. But there was a monkey experiment where the monkeys would get beat every time they would get hosed with a hose every time they climbed the ladder to get the banana. But everybody else would get hosed. So the monkeys would beat up that monkey that would try to go and get the banana. Eventually, none of the monkeys were climbing up the ladder to get the banana because the rest of them would get hosed. Mm-hmm. Eventually, they removed one monkey and they put a new one. Now the new one would get hosed. And so eventually, long story short, they replaced everybody. They removed the banana. They removed the penalty completely. And the monkeys just knew to beat up anybody who tried to climb up that ladder, not knowing why the hell they were beating up the monkey going up the ladder. Right?
There's another fascinating experiment. I don't know if you've heard this one. There's people in a waiting room. They pay actors to sit in the waiting room. Have you heard this one?
Keep going, yeah.
And like, I think every minute there's a beep and then they all have to stand up.
Oh.
And then they sit down. So there's one person that doesn't know what's happening, and everyone else is an actor. So every minute in the waiting room, it beeps, and then everyone stands up, and then they sit down. And like after the third minute, the random person is also standing. Yeah. And and then people go into the doctor, and then a new person comes in that doesn't know what's happening. Yeah. But eventually, everyone gets replaced and there's no actors left, but they're still doing it and nobody knows why.
Fascinating. I seen that. That is fascinating. How would you react to that?
I would probably stand up. Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would not.
Like, what are you guys doing?
I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? I'd be like, hey, do you know why we're standing up? And I would hear, I don't know. I'd be like, hey, do you know why we're standing up here? He's like, no, we just stand up. For what?
Yeah. I mean, you're talkative, so maybe you would start talking to people.
I don't know. But they usually say that unless you're in the experiment, you don't know how the hell you would react to
Exactly. Thank you for this conversation. If people want to find out more about you, continue the conversation, find out about your business pursuits, where can they talk to you?
I'm just on Facebook. I don't know how to use like Instagram and stuff like that. Just on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll get your Facebook profile link and we can link it in the show description.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for being on the podcast.